Welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of Elon University to explore the stories, ideas, and innovations shaping our community. Thanks for joining.
Hello and welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks. I'm your host, President Connie Book, and today I'm joined by Mike Mooney, a 1993 Elon grad whose career has taken him from the high-speed world of NASCAR and Formula One to coaching leaders at Mooney Consulting Group. Mike has a passion for helping people rethink leadership, build strong reputations, and find purpose in their work. We'll talk about all of these and more, and think about his life in the fast lane as he believes shifting our mindset and leadership can do. So welcome to the podcast, Mike.
Thank you so much, Connie. So great to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity to spend this time. It's always a lot of fun.
It is always great to talk with you. And for our listeners, I've interacted. Mike has been an engaged alum. He talks with our sport management grads about leadership, our leadership fellows, has really been on campus making a difference. And I've gotten to know him over the years and have also engaged Mike to work with our trustees and our boards and councils. And he always inspires us. He's always got good nuggets of information that really make a difference. So I've been looking forward to this conversation, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. So have I. So have I.
To start us off, you were very involved while you were a student at Elon. So I remember you sharing about being on SGA and your work there in student government, but you're a member of Sigma Chi, Leadership Fellows. When you look back at your Elon experiences, and I'm curious, a lot of times I ask people, when you talk about your Elon experience, what do you share with people? What was it at Elon that really made a difference that you still feel today, 30 years later?
Yeah, that's a great question because it takes me back to some really great places in my mind. Yet when I think about what that experience was for me and being involved at Elon, SGA, and Sigma Chi and other groups, it really wasn't by design. So I went down to Elon to actually play baseball. That's why I was down from Long Island, New York, and unfortunately,
what position did you play?
I was a pitcher. Left-handed pitcher, and I blew
no stress there.
No, right. And I actually blew my arm out in late August, like before we had even started real practice. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, everything I've ever done, the whole reason I'm here is now gone, quite honestly. And I remember sitting in my dorm room in 301D Barney, and Carter Smith, who was a great alumni and also worked at Elon, he was my suite mate, and he came in one day and he's like, Mike, so I'm really sorry to hear about this, but what are you going to do? I said, I got no idea. I mean, everything I've done it's gone, my whole purpose of being here. And he said, well, have you heard of the Student Government Association? I'm like, no, well, what do you do with that? And he said, well, look, I'm going to run for senator for sophomore class, and you could be a senator. And I don't know what it was, Connie, but something in me just said, well, if I could be senator, could I run for president? And he said, well, I guess you could. So I did. I ran for freshman class president and got that. And then sophomore class president. And then when I was a senior, I was president of the student body. And it was that experience of stepping through, like releasing what I expected to be, and then stepping through into a bit of the unknown to try something new, to experience something different that totally changed the trajectory of my life, and more importantly, the experience that I had at Elon. And so if you were to ask, what lesson do I carry forward, it would be that, because I've seen that play out, as I'm sure you have in your life, right?
When things don't go the way we plan. Yeah.
Right.
So it's hard to reset.
So what are you going to do?
Hard to reset.
Yeah. And fortunately, there were I was also very fortunate to have some amazing mentors on campus, whether that was, Fred Young and Ron Klepsik, Gerald Gibson, Gerald Francis, Janelyn Patterson, Rex Waters. I can go down, Dr. Joe,
great names.
Willie. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Joe was amazing, right? And these are people that spoke into me that said, we want you to learn, we want you to be at the table, we want you to see these things and be exposed to what leadership could be and communications. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just an extraordinary education outside of the classroom as well.
Yeah. And a lot, I mean, when you think about having thought you were going to be a college athlete and then having an injury just as you kick off your freshman year, that is a big adjustment. I want to say first, if you're listening to us on your earpods and not on the video, I would just want to describe what I'm looking at right now. So Mike is sitting in front of the microphone, and all on his shelves are helmets, NASCAR racing team helmets from his time in NASCAR. Um, and I want to ask you about that. So you spent 25 years in the very fast-paced world of motorsports. I think a lot of people, the movie this summer got a lot of people revved up about motorsports, and but NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, you really had a behind-the-scenes experience with motorsports. So tell me, to me, and I've only been to a race, right? So I'm just looking at it from the outside.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it seems so intense, that crew pit. I went to the NASCAR museum in Charlotte and pretended to change a tire, and even
Right,
that I
right.
couldn't do.
Yeah,
It's intense and
it,
it's
it, it is.
physical. It's really physical. There's
Yeah.
engineering in it. It's a really unique sporting industry. So tell me about your decision, how you landed there. How did you get there from Elon? And then tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, well, it's definitely. I kind of look at it like I Forrest Gumped my way into this somehow, right? It wasn't like it was a plan. I actually my first job out of Elon, I was an assistant manager in the footwear department of a super Kmart in Hickory, North Carolina, and I thought, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? Fortunately, I had a guardian angel there, and my manager who helped me get from there to my next role. And ironically, I've got over here just real quick, just for the fun of it. Let me grab this. I still have, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, my name tag
Yeah, there you go.
from
Mike,
there.
you're not going to believe this, but I worked at Kmart too.
Did you really? Did you do Blue
Yeah,
Light Specials? Did you?
that was my first job.
Yes.
And then I got promoted from cashier to working the service desk
Oh my gosh.
for returns
Yeah.
at Kmart.
That's
I learned so much about people who are really hot
yeah.
and how to work with them, to get them from a 10 to a 5.
De-escalation.
Yeah,
De-escalation skills.
de-escalating. And,
Right.
things don't, it's like you just said, things don't go like we planned. Sometimes you buy things that don't work like you had thought they would. And
That's right.
interesting, we both have the Kmart
I
story.
love it. I love it. So from there, yeah, I ended up at an agency in public relations. My degree out of Elon was in corporate communications, and so the writing and that came natural. I love the idea of sports still being part of a team. I love the business of racing more than anything, quite honestly. I wasn't a huge fan of the sport. Even today, I mean, I have a great appreciation because I have a lot of friends and connections that are on TV and doing their job every Saturday and Sunday. But I was really more a fan of the business of how do you bring businesses in to help them recognize like business value and things like that. So, and that really spanned from working at agencies in communications to eventually working for the corporate brands where Nextel, I worked for them. They recruited me when they took over the NASCAR series sponsorship. At the time, it was like the largest sports sponsorship in history, like $750 million. And I was running the marketing communications for that. And then I was over on the race team property side as well. So I got to see the sport from a lot of different perspectives, but it always filled this bucket for me. And again, this gets back to my Elon days of I learned in SGA how to connect dots where you found someone who needed something and okay, we can find the resources. Let's make this work. Like, we is greater than me. And that was really what I carried into motorsports is helping businesses and brands build their business and brands through the business of motorsports, and had the opportunity to do that again. Yeah, NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, a lot of other series over 25 plus years. But to your point of having gone to one race, um, I've been to close to 850.
Yeah, a lot
So,
of races. But it is a team, right? You see the
without a doubt.
driver, but it
Yes.
is a team that wins that race,
It
right?
it
And
is, and that's what I loved about the sport was that everyone recognized their place on the team, what they needed to do, but more importantly, they looked beyond just their role to see what everyone else needed to help. And I just always admired their just, I mean, almost just um, contagious desire for continuous improvement. There was even if you won on Sunday, Monday morning was okay. What are we going to do differently? What are we going to improve on? What are we going to,
yeah.
whether it was the way they were thinking, whether it's showing up, whether it was engineers working on the car itself, it was always this mind of how do we keep sharpening that saw.
What you're saying reminds me of some advice that the CEO of Ally gave our business students last year. She was sharing that most people get very focused about vertical success, how to move up in an organization. And just what you were describing about your experiences, you were very horizontal, that you were looking at this and then you were aspect of the business, then you'd go look at this aspect of the business. And she was making the point to the students, pay attention when don't get so focused on going from assistant to associate to get interested in what's happening horizontally in the organization, because that is going to stage your long-term success.
It's so true, Connie. I mean, I call that experience stacking, and sometimes we don't realize or take stock in the fact that if we were to look at it through that lens of like, well, this is an experience that I'm just going to stock and then stack. So like my opportunity at Roush Fenway Racing came about because Jack Roush, the team owner and his president and team said, Mike, you've got agency experience and you have brand experience, and those are the two key audiences we work with. And if we could have someone on our team that could speak their language and understand what they're looking for and the value, then that's a huge value to us. Would you come work with our team? Right. And I didn't realize that was going to, the years in agency, the years in brand was going to, culminate with this opportunity. But wow, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I guess that's where I was saying I kind of Forrest Gumped my way in. I just would just put my head down. I would do good work. I'd do the best I could, build relationships, treat people the way that I'd want to be treated, right? All the things that we would and
Yeah.
should do, right? And opportunities would show themselves. It was amazing.
Well, after 25 years, you decided to make a change. And so 8 years ago, you left motorsports to launch your own consulting group and work with Pocono Organics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me what gave you the confidence to take that, and then tell me a little bit about that work.
Sure. I'd be happy to. So I would say that was the scariest time in my life, not just career-wise, like my life, right? Because I really felt deep down that I needed to make a change. Quite honestly, the pace of the sport and doing it, I was at 30 races a year. So out of your 52 weekends, I was gone 30 of them. And you're working during the week as well, so the pace of that was taking its toll. Had a growing family. Krista, my wife, she's a graduate of 94 at Elon. We had our children that were growing. I wasn't around. My health was taking a toll. All these things were starting to stack up and the signs were there. And plus, I had believed, I heard something on the radio one time, Connie, that was like, what if the last 10, 15, 20 years of your life were the setup for the next 20, 25 years of your life? And I'm like, wow, that was an interesting perspective to think about growth and evolving and continuous improvement. So that's really, it wasn't like one moment that gave me the courage to step out. It was really over several years I wrote my book. I was speaking more. I was looking for opportunities to speak more. That kind of gave me the micro moments of confidence, right? To step out and start my own business. And then quite honestly, with the Mattioli family at Pocono Organics, they're close with Elon. I've known them for my entire career, and they were starting a new family venture and asked if I would come up and help them do that. And I'm still doing work with them today, which is great.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me, okay, so you mentioned it, you wrote your book, and in this period, you write a book, and it's on my bookshelf, and I see it's in the image on your bookshelf. So what it's called Reputation Shift, and it's about helping people shift their reputations, right?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
and to redefine themselves. So tell me the seed of the idea that prompted what work were you doing that you thought I should write a book about this?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I did in the sport was also crisis management. So when the proverbial crap would hit the fan, a lot of times it was my job to come in and pick up the pieces, fix it, especially when I had reputational damage. It could have been a driver death. It could be a fan injury. It could be a driver saying a knucklehead thing on national TV. But that was a lot of the work I did as well. And it hit me that, you know, reputation was always reactive. It was a what now? And I really believed, and many times I would look back to say, we could have avoided this. Uh, so what if we looked at it through the lens of being proactive and what if, and more importantly, operating from a values-based place, right? Values first. So that was really the genesis and catalyst for writing the book. It was a way of proactively building and strengthening one of our greatest assets. That as Warren Buffett once said, it could take 25 years to build a strong reputation and less than a minute to ruin it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was just something I wanted to put out there in the world from my experience to say, if we could live our values out loud, you probably wouldn't have an issue with reputation because it's coming from a place that's truly yours, right? And what I encourage people to do is literally write down your top 4 or 5 values, write them on a piece of paper. And then what I'd like you to do is think about, okay, well, in this case, I value trustworthiness. Great. Where did I exhibit that today? I value clear communication. Great. Was I clear in my communications today? Right. Honesty. When was I honest? So it's really almost like going back and doing a bit of a self-check, because oftentimes, and companies do this, they put these values on the walls and these great words, and that's all they are. That's where they stay. They're on the wall. And I think similarly with people, we have values, we have good intentions. However, if we're not intentional, and think about where are we actually living these values out loud consistently, that's where we build reputation. It's consistency over time is what we're doing. So you learned at a really young age that it's not easy all the time, right? Yet you see the impact of it when you go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Clearly.
that's right.
What a lesson.
And you need right, that's so good. See, I just want all of our listeners to see how good Mike is. Yeah, when you need some clarity. I do think we have this mapping exercise we do at Elon where we take our mission statement and we map our programs to it to say, how is this effort aligned with our mission as an organization, as a university? And it's always really powerful to hear it from multiple voices
Right.
saying, yes, we're committed to these things, and this is how it looks in action, you know?
In our world, absolutely. It's actually an exercise I take companies through as well. We talk about that to get the alignment, because again, it's enough for people to, I call it the bobblehead, where they sit there and say, yes, I'm committed to this. Okay, great. So how will this show up in your world? Tell me in your day where you can apply, because that also gives people the idea to go, oh gosh, I didn't think about this, but I could do this that aligns to the value or the mission. I just hadn't thought because I'm in this reactive daily mode instead of taking time to be intentional and proactive.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's great.
So we're going to close with one question, Mike.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like we have 18-year-olds all over campus. Yes, 18. And, I'm curious as when you think about those students here on our campus, what piece of advice would you offer them as they begin their collegiate studies at Elon?
I would. So you're talking about their time at Elon as students.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would encourage them again, involvement. Get involved and get uncomfortable. Right, and not morally or ethically
Yeah. Yeah.
or legally. I'm talking about in where you sit there and your little voice inside goes, I don't know if I can do this. right? Well, maybe you can do that. Have you done it before? Can you try it one time? Can you be in a space where others will help lift you up and support you in a safe place? Because that's what college is. It's a safe place to fail. And I mean that in the sense that we learn more from our failures than often we do from the successes that we have. So I would say the advice would be get involved, push yourself, challenge yourself, and quite honestly, serve without expectation. That's a big thing that I really have been sharing and leaning into lately, is this idea of expectations. And I believe that sometimes when we're young, we do things, and even when you're old, we do things because we expect X will be the
Yeah.
return, or Y will
Quid
happen.
pro quo. Yeah.
Right. And I don't know about you, Connie, but my experience, like 9 times out of 10, whenever I set an expectation for something, I'm disappointed. Like the expectation's not met. So, if we could release expectations and just serve for the sake of serving, I guarantee you will be amazed, blown away, and just surprised at what comes back that you couldn't have imagined or expected before. So
Yeah.
serve without expectations, just serve.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for the great conversation today. It's always good to
Oh,
see you, and I've
always
really
enjoy it.
enjoyed hearing more about your career and the over time how your career has developed. Really good inspirational messages for
Thank you.
all of us. So
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining us on Beyond the Bricks.
I appreciate that. Always time well invested with you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Elon Beyond the Bricks. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and leave a review to help others discover the conversations that matter. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.